Hi, I'm Paul Simon, landscape horticulturist with the National Gardening Association, and today we're talking about preparing your garden for planting. And now we're talking about spring planting and transplanting. So one of the first steps is we want to make sure in the early spring that before we even begin, we're not working in saturated soil conditions. We want to make sure that the soil is either damp or dry, but not saturated and wet. The reason is they need just as much air as they do water. Here we have an existing established sedum plant. This is Autumn's Joy sedum, and it's being a little bit overcrowded by another established juniper shrub. So we're gonna transplant this sedum. We also have another sedum plant here as well, and what we're gonna do is place it right over here in this area. We're gonna work around the existing sedum. We're gonna go a little bit further out than you expect, actually, because the root systems on these plants have started to grow and push their way out horizontally. We want to grab as much of that root system as we can when we transplant it. We don't want to take off too much of the root system by digging too close to the plant. So we'll dig way out here and just as deep as we can go, we're going to push down our trowel and go around probably, this is like a 12-inch diameter. Okay, now that we've loosened the soil around the plant, we're going to start using the trowel as a lever and pull it up, getting as much of that root system as we can. There we go. So you can see the root system's penetrating out here. We've gotten a big enough perimeter that we've removed, and so now we know we can transplant the plant. So with the next hole, I'm going to use the shovel, and we're going to line it up with the other existing sedum there. So right now I'm just scraping the surface a little bit. Then I'm going to dig the hole. You can notice I've dug the hole a little bit wider than what we've removed in our transplant. The reason we did that was because as its roots start to grow out, we want it to be able to move through some softer soil and establish itself. The other thing I noticed when I dug this hole here is that we pulled out some soil that is less desirable. So we have some clay soil here, we've got some rocks in there. So we're going to replace that soil. We're going to add a little bit of compost here. Okay. And we'll do that as we need to for other plants when we plant these plants here. Now we're going to plant this in. I'm going to put back some of our other soil. I'm going to add some more compost. You can use compost, potting soil, or topsoil for your perennials. So now we've transplanted an existing shrub. We've gotten it out of the way. We're ready to move on from transplanting to actual planting. So what I've done here is I've placed 3 in the back and 2 in the front. I've staggered my rows so it's a zigzag type pattern, and we're ready to plant these. First is we'll remove our undesirable soil. Okay. Okay, we'll begin digging the holes for each one of these shrubs. One of the things I like to do to mark the location is to just dig or just swing around each plant, and it'll place a circle where you've placed your shrubs so you can move them out of the way and you'll know exactly where to dig. So we can dig our locations now. We're ready to begin planting our perennials. Now, one of the things you'll do is as you remove the perennial shrub, a lot of times you'll see that the roots start growing around the location of the pot, and it's called root bound actually, where the roots just circulate around this container. So one of the things you'll want to do is to massage the sides of the roots. It helps get the roots growing outward in an outward direction. Now we're ready to place these in. So we also removed some undesirable soil here, so we're going to add in some compost. And we've got our plant planted into the soil there. Again, just like our transplanted shrub, we're digging the holes again a little bit wider than the pot so that we can loosen up all that soil so these roots can start growing out and establish themselves into the soil. We'll just repeat this process again now for the next 4 hole locations. Okay, so we finished transplanting an existing perennial and we've planted new perennials as well. Keep in mind there's different times of year that are best to transplant your perennials. Most perennials can be transplanted in the springtime, but there are some like peonies that prefer to be transplanted in the fall, bearded iris that prefer to be transplanted in the mid to late summer season. So if you're in doubt, check with your local garden or nursery center and ask a garden specialist there. So next step, what we'll do to complete finishing our garden bed is to apply some mulch, which will help retain moisture in our garden bed, and we'll also do an application of organic fertilizer. Just going to sprinkle a little bit around each plant, just around the perimeter. You don't want to place the fertilizer too close to the plant because it could actually burn the plant. Here around the perimeter of the plant, it'll break down slowly as it rains and as you water the plants, and it'll still provide nutritional balance to the root system. We're just watering in now our plants. It's the last step to conserve water. You want to wave the water around a little bit so you're moving the water close to your plants, letting it soak in a little bit and get down to the plant material. Okay, so that's how you transplant perennials and plant new perennials in the spring. And I hope these tips have been helpful for you on preparing your garden for the season.